Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Southwick Conservation Commission meeting of Monday, June 6, 2020 at 7 p.m. It is a hybrid meeting, meaning that there are people here in the town hall with us as well as people on Zoom. This meeting is being recorded, so if you don't want to be recorded, I suggest that you drop. Kind of simple like that, I suppose. We do have a quorum of the Conservation Commission. Myself, David McWilliams is here, Brian Drennan is here, Marissa Cook-Obregon is here, and Jerry Patria is on Zoom. And Mehmet Manzanagul has just joined us as well, so that's a party of 5. Hey, Mehmet.
So how does this work?
Sit at a table
Nice. Real people.
and look at people.
Wow.
You can breathe the same air.
Yeah. Or not.
Or not, right? It's your call.
Allergies. I just look really bad. I
There you
swear.
go.
I got a test.
So why don't we start off by just taking a look at the minutes from the meeting of May 16th. I know I've gone through them, and I believe Brian Drennan has gone with them as well, gone through them. There was a
Yeah.
couple
it
of
is.
small grammatical errors that have been cleaned up and communicated with Jean. So Brian, you comfortable making a motion to accept?
I will make a motion to accept the minutes.
Anybody want a second?
Second.
Marissa,
Aye.
Jerry,
Aye.
Dave, I.
See that signature page over there, please? Signature page.
Oh.
Yep.
We're just going through getting signatures. So while Jean and Mehmet are getting signatures done, we'll open it up. Any public comments? Anybody out in the audience have any public comments, either online or in person? Okay. So no public comments. Dennis is on, good. You don't see Norm, I figured we'd maybe get
No,
the
no.
LPP out of the way.
Norm says he's not going to be present.
Okay, so why don't we, because we have a couple of minutes before the next hearing. So as it stands right now, our next meeting is not scheduled till July 18th. So that's quite a distance away. And there's a lot of stuff that's coming before the board. So Jean and I were talking about trying to schedule a meeting between then and now on an off night. So I don't know if anybody has any. What is June 20th?
It's Juneteenth. It's a legal holiday.
Okay. July 4th is obviously July 4th. Does anybody have anything on their calendar for July 20 or June 27th that we could possibly schedule a meeting?
You don't necessarily have to have it on a Monday.
I know, but we're just kind of in Monday mode. If,
We're away.
Actually, we were talking about that
about being
as
away.
an idea of moving it to a Tuesday. And that would open it up so that we're not bucking against the select board meeting. We can attend that. And then have ours on the Tuesday.
Well,
I mean, I'm sure it's up for a vote, but you know, if we wanted to move to a Tuesday, that might not be a bad option.
so why don't we try a Tuesday then and see how that works from a scheduling standpoint?
Okay.
So June 21st is not anything 10th, so maybe we look at June 21st.
21st.
Do we have a calendar? Is there a calendar in here of who has this room on what dates?
No, that's in the select board's office.
They haven't scheduled anything for that far out, I don't think either. You know what I mean?
Well,
Yeah,
they have some boards and committees that meet.
Yeah, that
We've
might be a
had
planning
it
board
Right.
on the 21st, I think.
Yeah,
Planning
the
board is
planning
the
board
21st?
usually
Planning
meets
board
on
meets tomorrow,
Tuesdays.
and then they meet the second, 2 weeks after that. So that might be planning board the 21st in this room.
okay. So that would definitely be a conflict.
Yeah,
Um,
Wednesday.
Wednesday might be a CPC meeting. that week.
Oh.
Yeah,
That's
How-
the 15th.
the
They
15th.
meet the
I'm
third
pretty
Wednesday,
sure
right?
it's the 15th.
something on the Flag Day.
So
After
Brian,
Friday.
you're away the following week? You
Yeah,
think you
Friday
might
to
be
I might
away?
be
Friday,
away
18th
too,
to
yeah.
24th are away. I'm sorry, 24th to the 1st are away.
Looking at July, right?
No, June.
June.
June. Um,
I mean, I have no problem moving. Oh, you're gone July 5th too?
No, we're coming home the 1st.
Well, I say we either go for the 21st or the 5th. Let's at least put it on the calendar. Let's go with the 21st. Let's tentatively put it on the calendar, see if there's a conflict. Even if we can't meet in here, maybe we can meet down in the auditorium. Just move venue,
hmm,
right? At least that way we can have something on the calendar, so. Can we
Tentatively 21st.
tentatively the 21st?
June 21st, okay.
All right.
So can either of you just check and see who's using this room on that date? And if this room's booked, maybe if we can get down into the big room?
June.
Planning board will be using this one.
Yeah,
Okay.
for sure, yeah.
June
There's
21st.
another smaller room right off of the
Oh.
elevator.
Down the bottom down there? Yeah. Okay.
Boom closet.
Just to be clear, will we have anything potentially on the agenda then that could be in conflict with the planning board? I mean, I know that they may be discussing 141, and if we have somebody just thinking about Mr. Eggleston, if he may be, if this continues on to that date, I see 7/10, that's gonna be probably on the planning board. He can't be at two places at once, so is 138 potentially on the planning board agenda?
I mean, if space is an issue, does it help to have that one online? And just get it done and then.
Well, we
have the next
could.
one in
I
person?
think planning 138 is on the planning board's agenda for tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night.
I
okay.
have no
Something that
idea
doesn't have-
where it's gonna be
Right.
in 2 weeks. And
right.
I'm not sure where yours is gonna be sitting in 2 weeks.
I'm
either.
on tomorrow night. But I'm hoping you and I are gonna resolve things tonight. in the morning.
Well, I don't know about that, but we'll see what happens. So let's just keep it for the 21st right now. See what comes out of tomorrow night's meeting. If they're gonna continue either of those two, then we can adjust. But I at least want to have something on the calendar. So that,
It's 7 o'clock.
yeah,
Okay.
all right.
All right.
So the first thing on the agenda is the NOI for 138 R Hillside Road. It's a continuation. It's a subdivision with a portion of the stormwater management basin located in the buffer zone. Ryan, are you here for the property owner?
Hello, everyone. Ryan Nelson from R Levesque Associates.
Hey, Ryan, before you start, we did receive a letter from Randy Brown, the DPW director. So I'm just gonna kind of read that into the record. All right. DPW reviewed the plans and application for Magnolia Homes, 138 R Hillside Road as prepared by R Levesque Associates dated 3/24/22 and has the following comments. Number one, the applicant recently submitted revised plans to the planning board as part of their special permit request. There are some minor discrepancies between the plans reviewed by the planning board and plans currently in front of Conservation Commission. The applicant's plans to both the planning board and the Conservation Commission should be the same so as there are no confusion as to what is being proposed. Item number two, the stormwater report was developed based on a prior bylaw and regulations, not the new bylaw and regulations with updated requirements for design storms, total suspended solids removal, phosphorus removal, nitrogen removal, etc. The plans and stormwater report should be updated using these standards to ensure no negative impact to the resource areas. If you have any questions, let me know. Randy Brown, PE Director. So there we are, Ryan. Are we looking at the most updated plans or are we looking at,
Yes, so when, Dave, may I ask you when that letter from Randy Brown was, what date?
yes, that would be today.
Today? Okay. So the plans you see before you, we had submitted late last week to both conservation and planning. So what you see now is synonymous across both filings.
Okay.
Previously,
Ryan, you still,
so previous, oh, can you hear me? Breaking a little bit.
Ryan, your audio is breaking up.
Sorry about that. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, there.
So previously, we had received comments, a round of comments at our original filing. We've addressed all those comments. They had, related to sidewalks, stormwater structures, snow storage, various items. And the plan set you're looking at now reflects those. I'm not sure what Mr. Brown's comments about the stormwater standards were, because I know my coworker Philippe, our stormwater engineer, reconfigured the basin and enlarged it to make sure that we meet the design criteria of those newer standards. Previously, I think we were designing for a 6 or something inch rain event, and this time around it's more like 11. And I'm pretty sure when I conversed with him today prior to, this design does meet the town bylaw standards that Randy was referring to. Maybe I'm mistaken, but
Yeah, I mean, we can only go by what he gave to us, Ryan. Right? And I think he's basing everything on the fact that what we were looking at was an old plan. And I think he didn't realize that we would have a new plan by tonight's meeting.
gotcha. Okay. Yep.
So I guess, and this is just my opinion, I would like a refresh from him on what his feedback is with the new plans, because all of this just reverts back to the old plans on this. You follow?
I do, yes.
Well, I mean, I don't want you to dive too deeply in this until we get a new set of comments from DPW.
Okay.
So, I mean, my recommendation is that you would want to be looking at a continuance for this so that we can get that and then clear this thing up at our next meeting.
Sure. I gotcha. Yeah, I know we've addressed everything. It's just, I guess, confirmation, I suppose.
Yeah, again, maybe if we'd have gotten this a couple of days beforehand and could have reviewed it with Randy, but Randy thinks, and thankfully he's thinking we're working with old information and he's kind of trying to protect our board as well, right? So I just want to let him know that we've gotten the new plans and that we want his comments based on the new plans.
Okay, that's fine.
So Ryan asked for a continuation. Does anybody want to make a motion?
Motion to continue. This is gonna be to the 21st,
Yes. Do
Tentative.
tentatively.
you want a second on that?
Second,
Marissa? Jerry?
Aye.
And Dave's and I. Ryan, thank you.
Okay, thanks.
All right. So. How are we doing on time? Okay, we're good. We're good. Yeah. So the next hearing is a continuation for an NOI 141 Congamon Road, DPW number. So we do have a couple of letters that we're going to read into the record for this particular hearing as well. First is again from the DPW director, Randy Brown. DPW reviewed the site plan for 141 Congamon Road per the plans drafted by R and Associates dated 3/24/22 and provides the following comments. The applicant recently submitted plans to the planning board for a request to modify their special permit. There are some discrepancies between the plans reviewed and approved by the planning board, and the plans currently in front of the Conservation Commission, including the number of docks, layout of the parking area, and screening. The applicant's plans to both the planning board and Conservation Commission should be on the same, so as there's no confusion as to what is being processed. So it's Groundhog Day with this one too, Ryan. Second comment, considering the parking lot drainage flows into the town's drain system and ultimately into a resource area north of Miller Road, all catch basins in the parking area should meet minimum standards and include a hood with a 4-inch sump. The applicant should confirm whether these standards are met, and if not, upgrade appropriately. So why don't we just pause there for a second? Because it seems like he's giving us a little bit more detail than he did on the last one. So can you address that question?
Sure. Ryan Nelson from R Levesque Associates, again, representing the applicant, Mr. Ken Eggleston. Attempting to share my
No.
screen. So the catch
Wait a minute.
basins that Mr. Brown is talking about, there's one located right here that's existing, and then there's one located right here that's existing. So we're proposing to utilize both of those for overland sheet flow from the parking lot area. I suppose if Mr. Eggleston is agreeing to such, and potentially could be conditioned, those catch basins need to be upgraded if the town feels they're not sufficient. I'm a little confused as to how or why some of these things are coming up, I guess, since this was an approved permit under the planning board. I know your conservation jurisdiction is a little different.
Right.
But, under the previous permit, Mr. Eggleston could go as is in the non-jurisdictional areas. So I guess, we're a little confused as to why, after the fact, other items are being brought up when he has a permit in place.
So he has a stormwater permit that was approved by the town through the planning board and Randy?
A special permit and site plan approval through the planning board.
Including stormwater.
Well, we were under an acre, so I don't think we triggered the stormwater permit.
Okay. Number 3, there is an existing catch basin shown on the south side of the parking lot near the 2 handicap parking spaces. The
Mhm.
plans do not show any drain line to from this structure. The applicant should clarify where this pipe discharges from.
Yep, so we've added that information. Ken found some record plans. That catch basin is in line with the one closer to the building. So from this catch basin, the flow goes north to the other catch basin.
And it goes out to the town and it goes gravity fed up to Miller Road is what Randy told me. Oh, there's a pump?
Oh, wait, that's a sewer. That's a sewer.
Yeah, no, Randy told me it was gravity fed up to Miller Road.
Excuse me.
The applicant should confirm that all runoff from the parking area will flow into one of the catch basins in the parking lot and not flow overland directly into the, towards the lake.
That's correct. All the parking lots are pitched interior to those catch basins at low points within the parking lot.
Okay,
We touched on that when we had our meeting on that Saturday. Everybody saw where it went.
mm-hmm.
And at that time, I commented, I can do that.
Can you first,
Ken Eggleston, 141 County Line Road.
thank you.
Excuse me. And I commented that day that I'm concerned about the runoff coming down Beach Road. There's a hill on the southerly side of Beach Road that floods that whole corner. And
The corner where the handicap parking is?
No, the left corner, but Beach Road. Beach Road, where there's parking.
Yeah,
You're talking about right up here.
Yes, that area right now gets flooded and it washes away my parking area with a heavy rainstorm. Because their water just comes right in. And it's going into my catch basins or whatever, but it's also washing everything away. We are going to be putting parking in that area, and there's going to be some kind of curbing, and there's going to be a fence there. But I don't know that it's going to stop the town's water.
Okay,
So I think that the town should be running granite curbing down that road. But not for my purposes, just because it's draining into my land and it's causing me problems.
that is a conversation between you and the DPW. So,
But, you know, if I'm saying I'm gonna handle all the runoff, honestly, how am I gonna predict what runoff I'm gonna get off of the town road?
well, I would imagine that's a historical problem that's happened there anyways,
Yes, and that's how I know about it,
right?
because everybody has told me what happened, including the previous owners. Fortunately, we're moving the entrance a little further north. Yes, actually, it's excellent.
Okay,
But it's-
so,
The drainage we've covered, that was approved by the town, and it falls under stormwater. There's no need for stormwater approval.
yeah, I mean, just so everybody knows, my conversations with Randy regarding this was Randy didn't see an issue since it's being moved so far away from the property up Miller Road, that any concern about any contaminated water getting down into the lake is irrelevant because it's going to be, it's got a lot of way to travel before it would ever wind up in the lake. So he's very comfortable with the way the water is going to run off the property. All right. We do have a letter from the Lake Management Committee, and they've asked us to read it into the record, so I'm going to read that as well. The Lake Management Committee members have had numerous discussions about the subject site during its regular meetings over the past several months. Below is a summary of the apparently unresolved issues regarding the subject site and special permit used by the planning board. LMC unanimously supports transient docks with 75-foot maximum length, but is unanimously against the addition of any marina docks and therefore has strong concerns about parking spaces to support the marina docks. The proposed 150-foot long docks, as shown in the plan, will interfere with the access to an egress from the north-south middle pond interlake culvert in the existing navigation lane and also interfere with the normal counterclockwise flow of boat traffic in this normal turning area for tubing and water skiing. In addition, TOS bylaw chapter 2E requires headway speed within 150 feet of marina and boat launch facility. This further exacerbates issues with an already tight normal navigation area. According to Michelle Pratt, Citizens Restoring Congamon president, CRC is planning to fly a drone with GIS locating over the 300 feet headway speed area while boats are placed within the dock. And then move on to the next one. The site plan needs to show winter storage locations for docks that must be removed from the water annually before December 1st. They may be stored on the shoreline as long as they're out of the water. The LMC does not understand how a license can be granted by the town for the right of way for land that is within 1947 state highway for parking. So again, that's out of our purview. Some of the parking spaces on LRA site plans are within the TOS bylaw 185 chapter 30 requires 15-foot setback, which the LMC believes should trigger a variance from the Board of Appeals. The proposed milling in lieu of asphalt are not stable surface, and accordingly, this friable loose material and any associated contaminants will likely migrate into an on-site stormwater system and into the waters of Congamon. In the past, 141 Congamon Road, parking area, catch basins, and roof stormwater discharges were connected to the town stormwater management system. Deep sumps in catch basin structures on the 141 site are not present, which allows solids, oils, floatables, and other contaminants to flow into the system. Further, there are no hoods on outlets to catch basin structures, which will allow oils and floating other objects into the town systems, which will ultimately outfall into North Pond, which is not what we heard from DPW. To ensure any connections to the town stormwater system are removed and the stormwater is duly and properly managed on the site. Any outfall into Congamon from this site must be designed and permitted as a new outfall. Parking area stormwater should be properly managed on site, and roof stormwater should be infiltrated on site so as to not impact the waters of Congamon. LMC is also concerned about the potential for accidental release of sewage effluent into subject South Pond due to the proximity of the systems to the waters of South Pond. Are there dew pumps and wet well, high level alarm systems on the sanitary sewer pumps? Is there a backup power for sanitary sewer pumps? So that is comments from LMC. Again, another board in town, so take those under advisement, but ultimately we're going to make decisions based on what's germane to conservation. So does anybody have any comments about either of the articles or letters that I just read into the record? No? Okay. Dennis, anything from you?
Regarding the letters?
Regarding the letter, yeah.
I see that the roof rainwater, the roof runoff is in conservation's jurisdiction, so that should be addressed.
Okay. Okay, so really that was just a prelude to Ryan, you going over the updated plans?
Sure. So I can walk through the changes, and I just wanted to clarify a little bit on the Lake Committee's comments. The vast majority of those comments have been discussed many times at the planning board, and they have approved the project, and Mr. Eggleston could proceed as is minus the marina section and the buffer zone work. So we were requesting an amendment to the planning board to address parking layout changes, the entrance and fencing. And I don't, I'm a little confused as to why they're going through the whole works again on all the other comments, which have been sorted out and concluded upon. But anyway, in regards to the conservation related changes before you, this revised plan hopefully addresses the comments that the commission had at the site visit and at the prior meetings. The first change is there was concern about the potential erosion along the bank, especially the land area between the existing decks and the bank of the lake.
So what's the plan?
Where's the drainage in any of that, really?
So to, I guess, appease, both the future, what's that?
Well,
Where's the drainage in the parking lot, and where's the roof runoff that's gonna get processed what way? How's that gonna work? Is there any way to explain that to me?
The
So
roof runoffs are fed into the ground and go into those systems. Storm drains. All of
there's a
the
catch basin here.
gutters are piped underground.
And they're all connecting to where?
Ryan, can you lower this picture? So we can see the northerly part of it?
This is the new one, right?
Yes. There's drains off here, here, and they feed underneath this concrete
Okay.
out to, here's one of those, which feeds into here, which feeds over to there, and these are all going into here.
so
Is any of that located on the plan?
This SD, right? 5 here, where the hell is this
Yeah,
line?
that's that line,
That's the line.
is leading from the one that's down here to here, to here, up to the road.
Out to the road. So all the water off the roof is gonna go off to the road and then go where?
It showed.
it's gonna travel,
It's gonna travel this way.
I don't know if
This
that's
way.
west, is that west up to Miller
It
Road?
is west.
Yeah.
Where's the solar fields?
Yeah,
Can you drop it again? Brian?
So it'll go out past the bike trail, out past the solar fields.
Lower, there we go. So it's going across this licensed area over here now. We moved. It keeps moving. Right here. This is, it goes from here
Okay,
to this basin, which I have a license for this property.
right,
And it comes out across the street to here,
goes there,
and then it goes over here.
and then it runs down.
And it keeps on going. I don't
Probably
know.
good half mile.
And over at Miller Road, it gets processed.
And these are, these are the new
Traded, okay.
drainage systems that has the traps and everything, right?
They are.
Yeah, according to Randy.
And-
Dave, this is Dennis. We usually like to see the roof runoff separated from the actual water that's coming out of the parking lot, because roof runoff is mainly clean and we don't like to mix it with the contaminated runoff that comes off the parking lot. Is there, I don't see any provisions for any kind of roof leaders. Is there anything on there, Ryan, I'm missing?
And he's saying it's connecting to everything else, right?
Yeah, it's an existing building.
Whereas technically the roof runoff could come off the roof and go to the lake?
Well, I
Gotta
think,
go-
well, I think a valid question is, has anything changed with the roof runoff in this present iteration
No.
compared to what used to be there?
No, the building has not changed and it will not be changing.
There is one modification being made.
To the roof runoff? Let's focus on that.
I don't know if technically, yes, I guess.
And it hasn't been done yet, right? So,
It hasn't been done yet, but
right, so,
there's, over here is the main door, front door. Because of handicap purposes, we've removed that door. We had to raise it up 7 inches to make it handicap accessible. And we wanted to put a fancy kind of on the roof,
yeah,
a little, just an angled thing to look good.
right.
I mean, do we need to
Shed
do
dormer?
it?
Come off the.
Yeah, so
kind of
on
like a
top of the
gable.
building, there would be this
Yeah.
kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And I'm sure.
Oh, yeah,
it's
yeah,
not
yeah,
gonna
you're
change gutters,
right.
but it would be there. That's the plan. That, building department would have. But we've already raised that door. And we're just looking to do something cosmetic to add to the building, which needs, so.
Excuse me, Dave.
Go ahead, Dennis.
My concern would be that even if the roof doesn't change, which it probably will, I mean, I would imagine they're gonna have to put a new roof on there, but even if it didn't, the parking area now is gonna be a lot less pervious. Before, there was more pervious area where the roof water could infiltrate into the ground somewhat. If it's less
Right.
pervious now, it is gonna have to travel somewhere. That would be my concern.
Happy to leave it dirt.
Ryan, can
Mhm.
you address that? I mean, you- you're-
No,
I guess from from Ken's standpoint, not to put words in his mouth, but aside from the marina and the parking lot expansion, he has a permit from planning board to use the building as is, with no roof leader infiltration requirements necessary. So I don't see how that's coming into, I guess, on what grounds is he now forced to separate roof leader water for the whole site?
Well, I guess that falls under the jurisdiction of conservation, right? Within the buffer zone, what happens to that water is now under the jurisdiction of our purview and what we feel needs to be done with it. So that's what we're trying to hash out here. And is there some middle ground? I mean, obviously the building's been existing, but there's gonna be work done to the building moving forward. Is there a way to address this?
There's no exterior work being done though.
Well, other than the gable, I'm going with gable, other than the gable. I
That's
just
a
mentioned.
cosmetic, it would get easy to illuminate the gable. I mean, if you're saying
Gable's
that's gonna
really
cause some
good.
problems, we just won't put it there.
I don't think it's an issue of the problems. I think what Dennis is just trying to get to, is there a way to separate the roof runoff from the stormwater runoff?
I don't know that stuff. But I thought it was
Well, that's why Ryan, you're paying Ryan.
Yeah, I mean, we
So-
could do, like we've done for a lot of projects, subsurface dry well chambers. But, I don't know how Ken feels about that. That is an additional expense that would be beneath the parking lot.
Okay,
I think what Dennis is trying to say is, correct me if I'm wrong, Dennis, is that basically, it's not necessary in a way to get the roof runoff to join in with the parking lot runoff. Am I right?
Well, what Ryan just explained is exactly what we've always asked for, is to be infiltrated. And if I remember correctly, the planning board was supposed to have that in their regulations. I don't know why it wasn't, even though whatever the planning board does is separate from conservation, but even in their best management practices, it would be advised to do that. It just is good management, good practice. The water is, like I say, it's going to be running somewhere, and if it's a less pervious surface, it's going to drain to the lowest point, and you know how that creates erosion. And we're just looking to prevent any problems, and I understand about money being a factor, but money is a factor in every project, and if you don't have the means to pay to do the project in the right way, then that's really not the Conservation Commission's problem. We sympathize with you, but it doesn't. If you don't have the money to do it, doesn't mean that it's okay.
so, all right, so that's,
I thought that stormwater was related to properties over 1 acre.
this is not, we're talking about roof runoff at this point.
You've got storm, you have storm, water gets on the roof. What other kind of water gets on the roof? I don't know. It might be funny, I'm asking.
I think, no, I think what Dennis is trying to say is, and agreeably so, is that you have a heavy downpour, hits the roof is generally cleaner. So going along with the Congamon Lake report there too, their concerns, it's cleaner water going into the gutters and then coming off clean pipes and then to the lake, let's say, right? Whereas parking lot, you have cars coming in, going out, there's oil leaks, there's whatever, stuff that cars bring. That is a separate pool of water that collects all of that and runs off and brings that with it. So there's this variation in that kind of rainwater that's coming down from the sky, hitting the roof and going one way versus hitting the parking lot and bringing with it things that are toxic. So this is the piece. Am I right? Okay.
So, Mr. Chairman, if I may ask,
Sure.
so what is the intent of separating clean stormwater from the stormwater drainage system? I could understand trying to separate and treat potentially polluted stormwater, but why are we trying to eliminate clean water from the system?
I think in most cases, right, when you have impervious surfaces, you want to do whatever you can to keep as much water infiltrating on site as possible, right? And particularly if it's clean water, you want it to infiltrate on site. You don't want to truck it out of town, right? And in this case, we're all for taking the stuff that's running off the parking lot that's probably going to have oils and other debris and sending that up to Miller Road. But the stuff that's coming off the roof that's going to be relatively clean water, if it can be infiltrated on site, it's just better for the site.
You're gonna just push it into the ground?
Well, I don't know if I'd use the term push, but it will
Or let it
just
drain?
settle into the ground.
Right.
Right.
In ground like infiltration systems, so.
For clean water, I mean,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's a common
as long
thing.
as it doesn't cause erosion and put sediment into the lake, yeah, clean water infiltrating where it falls is the best possible plan to have.
It's gonna save you trouble in the long run as well. If you have that water already being channeled into this clean basin, it's gonna save you the erosion woes that we're probably gonna talk about next when we get to the area closer to the shore, but it's gotta go somewhere. So better
Well,
to kind of
I
control
have
it.
the kind of system you're talking about at a property I own in Agawam.
Okay. So you know what we're talking about.
I do, and I know all the problems that it causes. Because when the parking lot, when the building was built, when the parking lot was put over top of it all, and there was all these stones and whatever put down for all these drainage to go into, Well, now all those roots and every piece of crap they threw into the parking lot, including tar that had voids in it. My parking lot, brand new parking lot I just put on 3 years ago, has holes everywhere, sinkholes everywhere. I was
Well, I
spending
think you're-
$10,000 fixing those holes because the previous builder had a bunch of stuff underneath it. I don't know what's underneath this parking lot.
Well, I think
don't know
that
what the top 8 inches are gonna be.
that is the intent, is to put it in an infiltrator in the ground, but it doesn't necessarily have to be under the parking lot. It could be infiltrated anywhere on the property.
Done properly, the dry well will work properly.
Yep.
Well,
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't see anything on the plan that addresses where or, you know, anything coming off the roof. Is there something on there showing that it goes into the parking lot stormwater, or is there something on that plan I'm missing?
Ken, were you showing that existing roof leader drain right here off the corner? Is that what you guys were pointing to
I only
earlier?
know about the 3 drains that go underneath the sidewalk. I don't know where they go. Were they on that plan that I gave to you?
Yes, we haven't.
I don't
shown-
see it marked.
He's got an additional plan of the whole stormwater.
Ryan, don't change anything yet, okay?
Oh, sorry.
Oh, and you had to go do it, didn't you?
He's got the previous owner's stormwater plan. That was approved back in 2010.
Everything goes into this, and then it goes into Miller, and then it goes out. Right, exactly. Yeah. There's no real reason for all of it to go to one place. To go one way, something.
Right.
So Dave, can we move along to the embankment,
Yeah.
the protections that they're, because I'm just curious to see what they're proposing. Ryan, is there any riprap at all proposed for this
Yes.
stabilization?
So we have a combination. Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
We have a combination of, a hard and a soft green approach for parts of the shoreline. So the area south of the most southern dock, where the proposed retaining wall and that slope regrading is going, we're proposing to put some tree and shrub plantings. We would have white paper birches on the steeper part of the slope, and then a mixture of blueberry and serviceberry along the shoreline for their roots to help stabilize that bank over the long term. In the area of the docks and the decks, obviously, we're very limited on the room and width of space to install shrubs, and plus, we don't want to impede the views and crowd the deck with trees that would grow over the future. So we're proposing a 3-foot wide armored stone, crushed stone riprap, kind of an apron that would run along the shoreline between the deck and the bank. So it'd be installed upgrading a bank, no disturbance to bank. There would be a straw log staked upgrading a bank about a foot in between that stone armored apron and the bank. The length of that is approximately 190 linear feet. It'd be about 3 feet wide, and it would be installed slightly entrenched so that there'd be no impacts to bordering land subject to flooding. So we would excavate, 6-8 inches of topsoil out, and then inlay at least 2-inch diameter crushed or angular stone within that apron.
Ryan, the
do-
Texas,
What's that?
Sorry.
all right, go for it, Dennis.
Go ahead.
I
Dennis.
just wanted to, you do realize the commission has never permitted riprap on the shoreline, and has actually made people remove riprap when they put it in because it's not an accepted process for the commission.
I think we were talking last meeting to keep the profile as thin as possible, Ryan. I thought we were talking about like the sheet vinyl that we've seen used at numerous properties around the lake that will shore up that shoreline
Yeah, I
and
mean-
allow them to keep as much shore as possible.
Someday Ken might upgrade to that, but for this linear distance, that's a very, very expensive project with construction access is limited because of the existing decks and the slope. You'd have to install that on the lakeward side, and I'm not sure how you do that. Usually set with vibratory attachments on the end of a boom of an excavator. So
Right.
if you're on a boat or a barge and it's doing that, I'm not so sure how you can precisely do that.
Yeah.
We've seen it done
again,
we've seen it done in more confined spaces than that. I mean, it's, you know, but like I say, once again, the dollar, you know, the amount of money being a factor in this really shouldn't compromise the project. The commission has taken a hard stand on riprap previously and actually has had people remove it because it's just it's not a good way to go. It's up to the commission, of course, but I just wanted to point that out.
Okay, I must be mistaken because I recall at the last meeting, there was a suggestion was to do some stone armoring along this.
Well,
bank.
stone, you know, field
right, we're
stone.
talking like
Boulder
boulders
monumentation.
and
Yeah.
almost building a wall, not just
Right.
laying down riprap.
Yeah.
That was the conversation, right?
Okay.
When
with
would the
the-
wall have to be, wall or whatever irrigation, erosion have to be installed?
What is that?
When would it need to be installed? Is it something that needs to be installed before opening the restaurant? Or is it something that can be done over a year or two?
Before we sign off on this, it has to be done.
All right.
Yeah. I mean, we need to make sure,
There's no time frame. Do this and you've gotten that far where we can start doing something at all.
our intent is to make sure that the shoreline remains intact. And what you're proposing is putting more boat activity along that shoreline, which is already eroding, as we showed you when we were there. You know, there's a good foot, maybe a foot and a half drop off, and it's getting undermined. As you put more and more boat traffic in there, it's gonna get worse. And our concern is that sediment's gonna wind up going out into the lake, and it's gonna cause problems in the lake. So what we want you to do is address it, yes,
I can
ASAP.
show you some studies that disagrees with what you're saying about additional boat traffic. These docks are gonna be there with boats on them, and they're gonna be preventing all of those waves from coming to the shoreline.
Not as the boats are coming in and out of the docks.
They're gonna be coming in at, you know, a no-wake speed. It's a no-wake zone. They're gonna be coming in 3 to 6 miles an hour. These things are gonna prevent the erosion in the dome. I've read a lot about it and I can get something for you. But, you know, you're talking, it's gonna be a no-wake zone up to 300 feet off the shoreline. That is changed, and it's no longer gonna be the 150 feet off the shore. It's 300 feet off the shoreline because of the marina.
Well, we appreciate that, but I mean, that is our recommendation to you and Mr. Levesque.
No problem. I just was hoping I'd be able to open a restaurant or something this year.
Our intent is not to keep you from opening the restaurant. Our intent is to make sure that the restaurant is opened, protecting the wetlands that we're charged with making sure are protected. So our concern is for the entire town, not just for your business. That's why we're here. All right? So
Part of it is also
that's what we're
consistency.
asking
Yeah.
these questions for, and that's what we're making these demands for.
I think North Pond is a good example. You can ever get to see the shoreline up there. Numerous projects have come in front of us and Lionel is one of them. As Dave mentioned, and then there's a couple of houses up there that have a shoreline that is all done within the specificity of what we were asking for. So it might help you to take a look at those and get an idea about what it is that we're after.
I now know what you're after. I have it in front of my own house.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
My own house on the lake, it's, you know, I've got big block stuff.
Right.
I understand the stone thing, but there's no way to get any of it down there. So even the list can't get over there to get to it.
So I guess my question would, how would the riprap get down there? Right? Because
It's
river,
stone, it's stone.
it's heavy. Are you gonna roll it down in wheelbarrows? I mean, how is that different than taking, you know,
Something
some
you can
boulders.
carry down the stairways. It's gonna be, we're gonna have a handicap ramp getting all the way down there. Wheelbarrow with no problem.
so you've just said you have access down there.
I have two, but not for block, not for any kind of big rocks or something, I have access that I can wheel a wheelbarrow down. You think I'm gonna wheelbarrow one rock at a time or something? I don't know. I don't have that kind of access. But I just needed to know where I was.
Okay,
I was certainly hoping that I might be able to beautify the place a little bit and start cutting down some grass and maybe eliminate the shrubbery down there, but that's fine. I'll let it sit there another year and look pretty ugly.
so I think from a shrubbery standpoint, I think we're pretty much in agreement. What you're doing there is bettering the property, right? There's two other issues that we have concerns with. One is the runoff from the roof, and the other one is the shoring up the shorelines.
It's only the shoreline that concerns me. I'm not sure which way to go. I've had several presentations. I went with what Ryan was talking about. I've been talking to a shoreline company who thinks that putting in a sock is the right thing to do. It's what's going on in Florida, North Carolina, on a lot of the lakes down there. It's a very,
Yeah.
it's a vinyl kind of sock that you put some dirt into, impervious cutting, and it's plant grass right on top of it.
Well, again, we're not looking to prolong this any longer than it has to be, but we need a plan in front of us that I think we're comfortable that we're gonna vote on. And we can certainly vote on what you have in front of us tonight. You can demand that we vote. We're just trying to give you some idea of where we're leaning so that,
I get it.
all
I was
right?
just, I was just asking if you could separate the two. Trust me, that I will do what you want to do down by the shoreline. But I can't, I'm not gonna rush to do it. It's something that I promise you would be done by next summer.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that we're in any position to put the town in the position of offering people to do business on trust. I don't think we have that authority. We need commitments.
I don't know whether you do or don't, but I know that if we don't get started on this right now, I'll just let the property sit there and go one little thing at a time. Shoreline will be the last thing I'll do anyway. If I can't start cutting down some shrubs and start doing some work in the parking lot, start installing the handicap access.
Well, I think you were here when we mentioned we're looking to meet in a couple of weeks. What I would
I
recommend is
can't do that.
reconvening with Ryan and seeing if you can come up to a resolution, and 2 weeks versus 2 months, 2 years, you know,
I leave Wednesday
okay,
for 2 weeks. I won't be here to have any discussions. I won't be here for the 21st.
okay.
I fly out 6 a.m. on Wednesday morning. And so we thought that what we were presenting was good, it would work. If not, all I was asking for was, some kind of understanding that I'm gonna do what you wanna do. The stormwater, I don't think that's a problem. I'm doing the entire parking lot over anyway. I'm sure when they're digging it up, they can do these little, holes, whatever off. That sounds like a very easy thing.
And
But figuring out what to do down by the shoreline.
to us, that's the
been
bigger
eroding for
concern.
30 years. Now all of a sudden it becomes my problem.
But it's been eroding for 30 years and it'll continue to erode, right? And now's an opportunity to take care of it.
And I'm willing to take care of it.
Okay,
I just can't take care of it
okay.
in a couple.
So
weeks.
you have a choice. You can ask us to vote on the plan that you presented, or you can ask for a continuance.
Mr. Chairman, can I ask a couple things? Ryan here. Would the commission be open to, in lieu of this stone armored apron, just continuing the live plantings like we showed to the south and north?
Can you repeat that, please?
Yeah, I didn't catch that.
So south of this stone apron along the shoreline, we have proposed plantings, the blueberries, the service berries, the birch. So instead of doing the stone, would the commission feel it's a suitable equivalent alternative to just continue the planting installations along that strip?
Would that impede on the view?
They don't take a part of it. Pretty good roots.
I think we'd have to do some research on that, Ryan. It's hard to make a decision at a meeting like this without actually looking into, doing some research to see if that would accomplish the goal. I mean, it's an alternative. I don't think, I don't think you're going to shoot down any alternatives at this point, but we'd like to see how it's going to be done on a plan and, how it would work.
Just what it's shown here. We just continue that row right along the shoreline. I mean, it's not
What's
rocket
shown there
science.
is-
that we have
what's
very
shown
limited
there
options
is a-
what we can do here.
What's shown there is riprap, and that's what the commission is looking at right now. If they saw a plan that had plantings, specifically what they are, where they're going to go, and how it's going to work, then they could deliberate on that. But right now you're just asking them to speculate on something, and that's kind of risky, isn't it?
Obviously, it's up to the commission's comfortability, but we've certainly conditioned plantings like that for many conservation filings before.
And nothing to this magnitude.
I
Yeah.
like that idea, but I do feel that I would need to see that in a plan and be able to discuss it with the commissioners and ask our coordinator for just some deliberation. That's how we do things. I think that's how we conduct business. So I think that plan could be a great solution. It could be a more cost-effective solution, potentially a faster solution. But I would like to see it in a plan just to have it on record that that's what we're going to vote on and deliberate.
And could we, Ryan, if you do put that on a plan, could you also show us a side elevation of how that would look too?
Yep. I
Right.
can do that.
As if you were
Cross-section,
looking in from
yeah.
the water?
Yeah.
Because again, my bigger concern is that big lip on the water's edge. And are we just planting those on top of it? Are we grading that at all?
Right.
Yeah, there obviously no grading. We wouldn't be disturbing bank, but we'd be putting the plantings as close as we could to the bank without it caving in.
I
But
think
we
it'd
can
be really
show
important,
that.
yeah. It'd
So
be
the
a-
idea is that the roots stabilize the shoreline?
Right.
That's what you're-
And a question that I had earlier, Ryan,
gonna
I'm
be
looking at
graded.
this plan and the taxus hedges that were there when we did our site visit, they would be removed. I mean, they appear removed in this plan.
We're talking about over here.
No, by the shoreline, like when you walk off the deck, basically, and you're literally on the shoreline, there, I think there's like a small walkway through the middle, not.
Oh,
walkway
that's
through the
over
middle.
towards where the upper dock is.
You mean those two green bushes? you're talking about?
Yes, yes.
Remember we
had
walked
this-
down to the shore, right
Right,
off
and
the
there's
deck?
kind of
We talked about just trimming them down.
trimming them down. Okay, just because I didn't see them on this plan and we had discussed the possibility of keeping them
Yeah, I don't
just
know
to
whether or
short
not
things up.
They're existing.
Right, right. So that already, we had discussed if you were to keep that, that would go a long way in terms of kind of our confidence in having some sort of stability there.
Those would be, were planned to have remained.
Hmm.
So
I
that's
think that
great.
There's some trees also that aren't shown on the southerly part of it.
Yeah,
That also remains.
So
the
they,
larger one.
it would be nice to also have those on the plan that we would, vote on to make sure that that's an accurate and reflective plan of what's going to be there.
Mhm.
I think it was two.
Both sides of that.
The original.
I'm sorry, I'm lost for myself.
Right, because those were the stairs and then I think it
Yeah,
was.
it's right.
Right.
Push here, push here. Yeah, right here. Two bushes.
And then this tree, I don't know if there's two trees or just two trunks of a tree down here.
Ryan, can you show us the south part?
So 45 minutes on this.
There's
Yeah, right
there's a
there.
tree right here somewhere.
Right, I think those two that they were going to keep.
Yeah,
right?
those are trees.
Yeah.
The only tree being removed is up here. Actually, I'm sorry. One tree being removed is over here,
I'll review and come back.
That's what they-
right there.
Right.
So, yeah, I think the plan just needs to be accurate for starters.
Hey, Ryan,
Mhm.
Ryan.
Yep.
So I think we have an idea of, or you should have an idea of what we're looking for. So again, I'm gonna go, we'll either take a vote on it or you can ask for a continuance. It's up to you, sir.
I'll leave that up to Ken.
From what I hear, a continuance is in line.
Okay, do I hear a
But
motion?
But I want to be sure that we've discussed everything. I don't know what it is about all these meetings and all the committees. Like management tries to do every time. Let's understand everything. I don't want to come back or have Ryan come back in 2 weeks. Maybe I'll come back a couple days early because this is very important to me. come back in 2 weeks and find out, oh, well, we want to do this, this, and this now. And then it drags on to July the 18th or 16th, and that's what I see going on all the time. I could have sworn that these stones were going to suffice. Because I was told that they were going to be easy to install and it would do the same thing as big boulders. I was wrong. Stormwater, yeah, we have to meet the latest code. I understood because we were under an acre that it didn't even touch us. But somebody's trying to say that it is.
Well, I'm gonna take a motion if we're looking to continue. Do I hear a motion from somebody? Second,
Continue.
Brian seconds. Jerry,
Aye.
Marissa,
Aye.
Dave, aye. So continue.
Thank you.
Can I just ask Ryan of the status of the application, the chapter 91 application, because the whole configuration of the shoreline could change, there's a whole appeal period, there's a whole bunch of time. Have you applied for your chapter 91 license yet?
Yes.
So you have?
Correct.
Okay, very good.
All right, we're moving on. So under new business, we have a request for a 3-year extension for 13 North Pond. I have some letters from a couple of the abutters. I was asked to read into the record. So one is from Marianne Philo. I would like to make the Conservation Commission aware that since the application was filed for the property at 13 North Pond Road, the abutting properties at 11, 15, and 19 North Pond Road have new ownership. The new property owners should be officially notified of any applications or extensions that may be under consideration. The second letter came from a Daniel and Kimberly Hess. Looks like Les Manis is trying to extend his building permit. The building permit was granted with access through my property, 15 North Pond Road, Southwick, Mass. I would never allow temporary access through my property. The lot is complete with propane tanks underground, a house and a shed. All landscaping has been completed, and underground septic and utilities are very close to the property line. The private drive is very narrow and steep with no room for heavy equipment. The property is extremely steep in elevation and can only be built with access through my property or from a barge. I have looked in building on this lot, and no insurance company will grant a $60,000 environmental bond because the elevation and potential property environmental damage. I was willing to purchase the property and have not built on it. As it is, the owner has dramatically increased the asking price. So those are letters from abutters. Gene, I sent those to you via email. Thank you. So Dennis, you have the most history on this particular property. If you could just.
Yes, I just want to say that the project has never started. He did not post a bond, did not do a pre-construction site visit. So I don't know how an extension could be granted if you haven't actually started the project.
Is anybody on behalf of
Yes.
13 North Pond?
Ryan Nelson from R Levesque Associates, representing the applicant.
Hey, Ryan.
Hello again. We've have extended permits before for projects that have not started. That's very frequent, but obviously it's up to the commission at their discretion.
That's it?
Yep.
Okay. So it's at 13 North Pond,
Yeah, but where's the, what's it saying? Do we have it?
the permit?
Yeah.
I don't have the old permit. No.
Do you want me to go find
The
it?
NOI?
363?
Please. Yeah. So Ryan, can I just, we're gonna switch gears really quick while Gene's looking for that. This one's for you too. I know it. Request for a certificate of compliance at 78 Berkshire Avenue. This one was requiring a bond And what else was on that one, Sabrina?
I think it was just the bond. There were
Just the
no
bond.
waivers.
Yeah, so Sabrina and I went out and took a look at the property. It's a new house with some hardscaping and silt fencing and some other silt barriers along the shoreline. The actual property is all grown in. They've seeded it. Grass is grown. It's mature grass, so it looks fine to me. I think they've done what we've asked them to. I think the erosion, the ground is certainly shored up, so if you're asking for my recommendation, I would say I would allow for the return of the certificate of compliance. Sign off on the certificate of compliance.
What are you doing, 78 Berkshire?
Yeah,
78, yeah.
Okay.
And a bond release also, Dave? You said there's a bond on the property, so you'd be requesting a certificate of compliance and a bond release?
Well,
so
need a motion for that?
need a motion.
I'll make a motion that 78 Berkshire Avenue received their bond refund and what was it, the other one?
Certificate of compliance.
Certificate of compliance.
Got a
I'll
second?
I'll second it.
Very second. Marissa?
Aye.
Brian? Dave, aye. Okay. Brian, Ryan, that one's done.
Okay, thank you very much.
So we're back on 13 North Pond.
Where does it say? Approved. There it is.
That's Chris Pratt's signature.
All right.
So this is 2019.
Holy moly.
This is that temporary access, but this site was gonna be built on before this at that time. I believe.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, the previous owner was going to allow them to come in and access because they were going to build everything from the water line up.
Mhm.
Right.
Four wide dock.
It's
Deck,
not, no,
stairs.
this is- No, actually, it looks like it is.
Building surface.
Oh,
I don't know how it was built. It looks on this
That's
plan.
this, right? All of that? It's that?
Yeah.
And all of this is that too, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay.
So Ryan, this is a new owner for this property?
For the abutting property, I believe it was Mr. Aslin's property at the time, under new ownership now, I'm not sure who it is.
Up for 13.
Let me double check here.
No, I think it says Les Manis.
That was the owner at the time of permitting. I just want to confirm he's still owner.
What happened? Just got approved and they got bought by somebody else.
No, it sounds like it got approved and nothing got done with it for the last 3 years.
So,
So they
is it-
want to extend their permit.
The ownership, it remains the same. Dana
Okay.
Cumbrain and Les Manis.
Is there a deadline to relax?
Well, the NOI is good for 3 years and they would like to extend it because it's at its completion.
Okay, so it's February.
So is this something we would want removed?
What's that?
Is this something we would want removed, this temporary access?
Well,
Address Dan's concern.
yeah, I don't think. Yeah, because it's not going to be accessed through the abutting neighbor's yard anymore. At least that's what the abutting neighbor says, Ryan. So I think the plan would have to be readjusted anyways.
Yeah, I mean, we can do that. It had a note on it, subject to permission of adjacent landowner, but yeah, to eliminate any confusion, we can
Yeah,
get rid of that alternate access. Yeah.
Yeah, so the adjacent landowner is already stipulated they're not gonna provide access to it.
Yeah, okay.
So that changes everything here.
Mhm.
So the
Is that the
issue
one-
is,
Is that
Go
the
ahead.
one with the, I'm sorry, this is Jerry. Is that the one with the real steep bank that they were thinking
yeah.
about buying?
yeah,
Yeah, we went out and looked at that a long time ago and we put a lot of restrictions on it. Probably a double silt fence and things like that. Yeah. that was-
multiple
Yeah,
along the side of the banking.
right, right. Yep, I remember that one.
So Ryan, I guess my question is, even if we decided to extend the notice of intent, you would have to come back with entirely new drawings and approvals anyways. The only thing that would be different is you just wouldn't have to file a legal ad again, right? Because these plans just won't work based on what we're seeing here. Unless you,
They work, but not from a legal standpoint, in terms of access, but
Right.
in terms of the project on the subject property, that remains unchanged.
There was gonna be that little road in between the two properties and that's no longer available, Ryan?
right,
According to the abutter, yes.
I understand, Mr. Aslam, yeah. Well, that's how you get in and out. It's so steep. Even had a switchback on it, as I recall, because it was so steep.
yeah,
Makes sense. We just come back in 2 weeks with a revised plan and just ask,
The new access
Yeah.
point.
down the road till next time.
yeah, that's fine. All right, so just want to continue?
Yes, please.
All right, motion,
I'll make a motion to continue.
I'll second that.
Marissa,
All right,
Jerry,
Aye.
Dave, aye. Thanks, Ryan.
Yep, thank you.
thank you, Gene, too, for finding it.
Yeah. All right, next item on the agenda is lot number 11, Mort Vining Road, certificate of compliance. Who do we have for the property owner?
Good evening, my name is Bob Schmitz, owner of the property.
You can come up if you'd like.
Good evening.
Good
Can I say
evening. Of course,
Yeah,
yes.
please, of
Thanks for
course.
waiting so long.
Yes, my name is Bob Schmitz, owner of the property, and I'm here to, sorry, rocks. To get a certificate of compliance, please, for lot 11 and lot 5.
So let's discuss lot 11 first.
Okay.
So according to the order of conditions, our requirement was a $10,000 bond, monumentation at the 50-foot buffer line, and to make sure that the ground was stable, right? So Sabrina and I went out today, we did a site visit. The property's got healthy grass growing. There's really good silt fencing put up, as well as there are boulders at the 50-foot. So he's, from what we've asked from him, he's complied. And your intent is to get the certificate of compliance, but your plan was to not take the silt fencing down? anytime
Usually
immediately?
from my experience in this situation, I like to get at least 2 good, times to mow the grass. It will establish it better and roots will spread out wider, and then we'll take out the silt fence, even though, portion, like quarter of the silt fence is already, we got 3-foot grass there because it was not disturbed. But still, we don't have buyers yet for this one, so we'll keep the silt fence, until I cut the grass a couple of times.
Okay.
But since we're here, so I just put 2 of them together, so we can.
No, that makes
Yeah.
sense, but we got to vote on each of them
All right, sure
individually, all
can.
right? So we're gonna go ahead and, does anybody have any questions for Sabrina, any comments?
That's good.
All right, so do we have a motion to sign off on his certificate of compliance and return his bond?
I'll move to allow the certificate of compliance.
Second,
Second.
second with Matt, Marissa,
Aye.
Brian,
Aye.
Dave, aye. Okay, so on our trip out to Mort Vining, Sabrina and I also took a look at number 5. The orders of conditions were the same. Silt fencing at the limit of work, bouldering at the 50-foot, and shoring up the property. The silt fencing was there. The bouldering was there. There is grass planted as well as straw across the property. It's not as developed as the previous one that we went to. So there is still some dirt patches, but he has planted seed and he has put down straw. Other than that, he's complied with everything else that we've asked for him.
Sounds great.
So does anybody have any questions for the applicant? Anybody want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion
Brian,
to accept, to release a certificate of compliance and bond for 5 more million.
Matt, you seconded?
Second.
Jerry,
Aye.
Marissa,
Aye.
thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Have a good
Thank
evening.
you.
What is
Really
this?
appreciate it. Thank you. You
Thank
too.
She has to make the certificate of compliance.
It's the.
And then,
Form 8B.
and then, we just write a letter.
Okay.
Asking Michelle to release the bond. They're just, form letters, basically. And you sign them.
I sign it.
So we don't need the whole commission to sign, just Dave can.
On the certificate of compliance, you need everybody.
Everybody else.
Okay.
On the letter to release the bond, it's only Dave.
Oh, okay.
Okay?
Right on.
So if you get those ready, you can either have people come again or wait till the next meeting or.
All right, next thing is Greg Hamlin, erosion control monitor for DPW number 292-037 for Silvergrass. So Dennis and I went out there and took a look at the property. We had a pre-inspection site visit. We asked that the builder, Greg, nominate an erosion control monitor, and he nominated himself. And just so you know, he's already submitted a report to the commission as to what's going on his property. Oh, no, that's out of Mountain Road. Sorry, wrong one. Anyways, so Greg Hamlin, the developer, has nominated himself. Dennis and I felt very comfortable with him doing the monitoring. So we just need to vote to accept Greg Hamlin as the environmental monitor for Silvergrass.
Can you do that?
Yeah.
There's no conflict.
Nope.
All right,
So unless anybody has any questions,
I don't.
Seemed amenable to our feedback at the last meeting.
Yeah.
So that's good. That's a good sign. So,
all right, can we, then let's take a motion
Make a
to
motion.
approve.
Accept
Well, you got a motion.
his Department of Environmental Protection Observer
Excellent.
nomination of himself
Second,
as a property owner.
I'll second it.
Jerry seconds, Marissa,
aye.
Brian.
Aye.
Dave, aye. All right. So that's kind of it, unless there's Jerry, any LPP updates?
Nothing that I don't believe anything was discussed. I think they talked about getting the buoys out. I don't think there were any issues. Quickly look at my notes here.
Well, we read Dick's letter about 141, so we know there's issues.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the things that we talked about have already been discussed. They talked about the town beach sand, that it needed to be clean, washed, things like that, and that 3 volunteers were providing it. They talked about having a subcommittee. Oh, excuse me, that was the planning board subcommittee. about rental around the lake. I don't think that has anything to do with us. I believe, is Michelle still on? The CRC wanted to set up a demonstration showing traffic through the culverts. That was discussed. But I don't see Michelle anymore. I think that was about it.
Okay.
Did you
Thank
guys
you.
ever talk about lights, green light, red light, solar?
Yeah, I think they had, well, they have the buoys and then the lights that go on top of them were being planned, but they're kind of cost prohibitive. And I'm not sure if that'll happen this year, but it has been discussed.
All right,
Okay,
okay.
thank you. Under old business, the only thing we have, and Ryan, I don't know if you're still on, was a certificate of
No.
compliance for 7 and 21 the Green.
No.
Ryan's gone. Russ, welcome.
Just observed it.
Any questions, comments, concerns? We'll take questions, no comments or concerns. The questions, yeah. All right,
See how our new employee was doing.
she's doing fantastic. And just lastly, I just want to welcome Sabrina
Oh,
to
thank you.
her first official meeting
Official
with
one.
conservation.
I'm at the table now.
You are at the table.
We're all at the
We
table.
appreciate your input.
Some of us are over there.
Happy to have you.
Sure.
So
Good to be here.
I'm only going to make one motion tonight, and that's going to be a motion to close the meeting.
I'll second that.
No, wait a minute, Ryan's
Ryan's
coming
back.
back in.
Ryan, why are you back?
We got
Maybe
that.
old business.
We got knocked off. or
Ryan, what brought you back?
I think we got cut off and then.
That cut out. I don't know why, but apologize.
So we already
Where did
closed the
we
meeting.
leave
No.
off? Sorry, I missed.
So is there any update on Mr. Fiore and the certificates of compliance for 7 and 21? That's the only outstanding thing on this agenda for the evening.
Yep, so lot 7, I don't have an update for, but lot 21, I've been told by Mr. Fiore, they completed the vegetated and stabilization measures. And I don't know if the commission has been out there lately, but maybe it's in order to schedule a site visit to verify all that.
Well, I think our concern with that one, Ryan, is we never even really had a pre-construction site visit at that location.
Well,
Right.
the house part was outside the buffer zone, but it was the stormwater management area in relation to the subdivision roadway that was in the buffer zone. And I think if I recall that portion wasn't really fully vegetated and completed yet, and there was some encroachments in that area, but I've been told those have been rectified, so, but I haven't seen it myself, so.
So, right, so you haven't seen it, we haven't seen it. Maybe we should go see it.
Yeah, and
Yep.
check the order of
I agree.
conditions to see if it calls for a pre-construction site visit and a bond on it, because I was pretty sure it did, and I don't think that they're in compliance with those two conditions. So check on that while you're at it.
You look at that, Sabrina, tomorrow when you're in the office?
Yeah. Do you have a DP number that I can just quickly look up?
I don't.
Ryan, you got the DEP number on that one?
I think just
It's the DP number for the whole subdivision roadway on the east side, so Greens to Southwick East.
So I guess we're running into the same thing. So is Mr. Fiore looking for,
This is a partial release of lot 21 from the order of conditions.
but haven't we been asking for notice of intent for each of the lots? That the order of conditions for the development is for the major construction that takes place for the development, the infrastructure and all of that, but the individual lots that are impacting the buffer zone, I believe we've been asked for notice of intents to be filed under those, and that we would go through the process for each lot. And I believe Dennis is right. We haven't seen any of that for this one. So I'm
It's
very,
outside the buffer.
it's outside the buffer zone?
For lot 21, yes, the house in the immediate site lawn area, but there's overlap for access for the stormwater easement for the drainage area in the back. And that's what was not fully complete yet when we submitted the request last time.
So the house and the property of the house is outside the buffer.
Correct.
Where does it show that? How do we know that?
I'm still gonna wanna go take a look at it, Brian. Can we do that? Can we put something on the calendar?
Okay.
So is there a DEP number that I can look
No.
up to see this? No,
Not for specifically lot 21, no.
so what
Lot
is the
21,
DEP?
is there a house number on that, Ryan? Because there's so much confusion here between lot and house numbers. Could you please provide both lot and house number for each one of those? Because it's confusing when you have lot numbers and house numbers commingled.
Yep, no, I
We
agree.
ran
I'm
into
not-
that today,
Mhm.
trying to find a house when we're looking for the lot number. And the odd numbers were on the even side of the road for the lots. It was very confusing. So yeah, both is very helpful, Ryan.
And the DEP number for the whole development.
Yeah, sorry, Ryan, can I have the DEP number for the whole thing, just so I can see the plan?
Yep, my internet's cutting out here. I can't access my server, but I'll email it to you.
Yeah, just email that to me, thank
Yeah.
you.
All right, once we get that, I'll reach out to you and we'll try and put something together for a visit, okay?
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Ryan.
Thank you for meeting with us today too, by the way.
Yep, thanks for your time today. Appreciate it. Have a good night.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Good night. Thank you.
All right, so the motion to dismiss stands.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Excellent.